If there was one team that I wish I could watch again, a few teams come to mind. Some will prefer to say Jordan or Pippen and see him take the league by storm once again. Some prefer more underappreciated teams, such as the '04 Pistons. But there's one team that had such a promising future, one intertwined with championships, camaraderie, and legacy-defining moments that compared to no other. 3 NBA Hall of Fame players, who each had expectations to reach and unfavorable narratives to disprove. As an NBA fan, the Brooklyn Nets' Big Three have always intrigued me, and as a Celtics fan, the Brooklyn Nets have always spoiled me. It's been talked about before, what could have been accomplished. However, it's often understated how big of a legacy-defining moment this tenure was for these 3 great players. The Brooklyn Nets, featuring Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden, were destined for greatness, but fate had other plans. Injuries, personal choices, and off-court distractions left fans wondering, what could have been? Today, we look back on the rise and the fall of the Brooklyn Nets' Big Three, and reflect on the legacy that never reached its potential. Before the excitement of assembling one of the most dangerous teams in NBA history, the Brooklyn Nets were quietly building a solid foundation. After years of being a forgotten franchise, they had a young core featuring D'Angelo Russell, who became an all-star in 2019. The team also featured Karis LeVert and Jarrett Allen, 2 highly capable rising stock players on both ends of the floor. The Nets finished the 2018-2019 season with a 42-40 record, securing a playoff spot for the first time since 2015. A team full of chemistry and known for its good vibe environment and celebrations, thanks to the fostering of Kenny Atkinson, had a promising future after a historic fumble the franchise made in its previous dealings with the Boston Celtics. This marked a turning point for the franchise, but the front office was eyeing more drastic, blockbuster-type moves for their future, entering into win-now mode and sacrificing the rise of their young stars. It all began on June 30th, 2019. At 4 a.m. on FaceTime, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, along with DeAndre Jordan, made the decision to join forces in Brooklyn. Durant, fresh off a devastating Achilles tear in the 2019 NBA Finals, wouldn't debut right away, but Kyrie held down the fort. Kyrie's first season with the Nets showcased his on-court brilliance, but also hinted at off-court drama that would soon become a focal point of his legacy as an NBA player. He played just 20 games, averaging an impressive 27 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists. But injuries once again derailed the Nets' season. Kyrie underwent season-ending shoulder surgery in February 2020, leaving the Nets without their star point guard as they finished 35-37. Kyrie's absence from the court wasn't the only issue. Even during this season, Kyrie began to make headlines for his cryptic comments about leadership and team dynamics. In January 2020, he infamously called out his teammates, stating that the Nets had glaring holes in their roster. The team qualified for the playoffs but was quickly swept by the defending champion Toronto Raptors in the first round. The Nets made a coaching change in September 2020, hiring Hall of Fame point guard Steve Nash as head coach, despite his lack of experience. On December 22, 2020, Durant made his long-awaited Nets debut, scoring 22 points in a blowout win over the Golden State Warriors, showcasing his fully recovered Achilles. It was the start of the Nets' 7-11 era, where KD and Kyrie were expected to take the league by storm. When Kevin Durant joined the Golden State Warriors in 2016, his decision ignited heated debates within the NBA community. Though his talent was unquestioned, his choice to join a team that had already won a record 73 games the previous season led many to argue that Durant was taking the easy route to a championship. By aligning himself with a team featuring 2 MVPs, Steph Curry and himself, along with stars like Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, Durant quickly found himself at the center of criticism despite his undeniable contributions to the Warriors' success. This discontent lingered, even as Durant led the team to back-to-back championships in 2017 and 2018, winning Finals MVP both times. But the narrative surrounding Durant's rings also seemed tainted by the perception that he had joined a super team that was already on the cusp of winning another title without him. By the time Durant signed with the Brooklyn Nets in 2019, questions still loomed regarding the legitimacy of his championships with the Warriors. For many NBA fans and analysts, Durant's move to Brooklyn was even seen as an opportunity to prove that he could win on his terms, without the safety net of an already established dynasty. His detractors believe that despite his skill, his championships in Golden State were inherently devalued by the fact that he had joined a juggernaut. With the Nets, Durant now had the chance to build something from scratch alongside Kyrie Irving and later, James Harden. While his time in Golden State cemented his place as one of the league's greatest talents, the shadow of those championships still followed him, with many arguing that true validation can only come if he led Brooklyn to a title under more challenging circumstances. Kyrie Irving's departure from the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2017 marked the beginning of what many thought would be his ascension as a franchise cornerstone outside of LeBron James' shadow. Having hit the iconic game-winning shot in Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals to bring Cleveland its first championship, Irving was eager to prove that he could be the leader of his own team. His trade to the Boston Celtics presented the perfect opportunity. The Celtics, an organization rich in history and playoff success, were viewed as an ideal landing spot for the young, dynamic point guard ready to make a name for himself. However, Irving's 2-year stint in Boston was far from the success many had anticipated. Injuries hampered his availability during key moments, and his leadership abilities were consistently questioned as the Celtics struggled to meet expectations. Irving's inability to guide the Celtics deep into the playoffs, despite their strong roster, added fuel to the argument that his success in Cleveland was largely due to LeBron James. During his time with LeBron, Irving thrived as a second option, taking advantage of the attention LeBron drew from defenses and flourishing in the clutch. Without James, however, Irving appeared to struggle with the responsibilities of being a franchise player and a team leader. The Celtics' younger core, which had reached the Eastern Conference Finals in 2018 without Irving, reportedly grew frustrated with his erratic leadership style, leading to a fractured locker room. His often cryptic comments to the media further alienated him from his teammates and the fan base. By the time he left for the Brooklyn Nets in 2019, it was clear that Irving's time in Boston had been a failure. The experience solidified the belief that, while Irving is an incredibly gifted player, his reliance on LeBron during the championship run in Cleveland had masked his shortcomings as a leader. The Celtics' success without him and his struggles as a primary option called into question whether Irving could truly thrive without a generational talent by his side. James Harden's departure from the Houston Rockets in 2021 was one of the most tumultuous exits in recent NBA history, marking the end of an era for both Harden and the franchise. After 8 successful seasons in Houston, where he became one of the most prolific scorers and playmakers in NBA history, Harden's relationship with the Rockets soured dramatically. The Rockets had built the entire team around Harden, who had won an MVP in 2018 and led the team to multiple deep playoff runs, including a trip to the Western Conference Finals in 2018 where they came within 1 game of making it all the way. However, despite his individual successes, the Rockets were unable to secure a championship during Harden's tenure, often running into juggernauts like the Golden State Warriors. Over time, the lack of a title, combined with the departures of key players like Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook, contributed to Harden's growing frustration with the team's direction. By the 2020-2021 season, it became evident that Harden was ready to move on. His dissatisfaction with the Rockets' off-season moves, including the hiring of new head coach Stephen Silas and the trade of Westbrook for John Wall, signaled a shift in his mindset. Harden made it clear that he no longer believed in the franchise's ability to compete for a championship and requested a trade before the season even began. However, the Rockets were reluctant to part with their superstar without receiving significant assets in return, leading to a prolonged standoff. As the season started, Harden's discontent became more visible. He arrived late to training camp, reportedly spent time partying in Las Vegas, and appeared disinterested during the early games of the season. His on-court performances were lackluster by his standards, and his body language suggested he had mentally checked out from the team. The situation reached its boiling point in January 2021 when Harden publicly criticized his teammates and the organization after a loss to the Los Angeles Lakers, saying, "We're just not good enough. I love this city. I've literally done everything that I can. This situation is crazy. It's something that I don't think can be fixed." His comments caused an immediate backlash from his teammates, with Rockets veterans like John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins expressing their frustration with Harden's behavior and questioning his commitment to the team. It became clear that the locker room had fractured beyond repair, and within days, the Rockets traded Harden to the Brooklyn Nets in a 4-team blockbuster deal. The trade sent Harden to Brooklyn to team up with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, effectively ending his time in Houston. Harden brought his elite playmaking and scoring abilities to Brooklyn, forming one of the most dangerous offensive trios in NBA history. Harden averaged 24.6 points, 10.9 assists, and 8.5 rebounds that season with the Nets, cementing his role as the team's primary playmaker. But amid the Big Three's formation, Kyrie's off-court behavior started making waves. Shortly after Harden's arrival, Kyrie took an unannounced leave of absence from the team for personal reasons. This hiatus lasted 2 weeks, during which videos surfaced of him attending a family birthday party, maskless, in violation of NBA COVID-19 protocols. The NBA fined him $50,000 for violating health and safety regulations, and he missed several games, sparking questions about his commitment to the team. This incident wasn't an isolated one. Kyrie's unpredictable behavior became a recurring theme throughout his time in Brooklyn, from calling for a players' boycott during the NBA bubble in 2020 to publicly opposing the COVID-19 vaccine in 2021. However, the team was far from dead and showed many promising signs for the near future. At their peak, the Brooklyn Nets' Big Three looked unbeatable. When healthy, they were scoring at an elite rate, combining for 240 total points in just 3 playoff games against the Milwaukee Bucks. The team finished the regular season with a 48-24 record, good for second in the Eastern Conference, despite the trio playing just 8 games together. Their best stretch came during the first round of the 2021 playoffs, where they obliterated the Boston Celtics in 5 games. In Game 4, the trio combined for 104 points, showcasing the immense potential of what this team could have been. Harden averaged 28 points, 11 assists, and 7 rebounds in the series, while Durant posted 33 points per game on an absurd 55% shooting from the field. Kyrie, when focused, added 25 points and 5 assists, making this trio practically unstoppable. Despite their dominance, the Nets were plagued with injuries and absences. James Harden missed 21 games due to a lingering hamstring issue, and Kyrie Irving's unpredictable nature added to the team's instability. During the 2021 playoffs, Kyrie's absence was again felt when he sprained his ankle in Game 4 of the second-round series against the Bucks, leaving Harden and Durant to carry the load. Meanwhile, Harden himself was dealing with a hamstring injury, forcing him to miss most of the series. Although Harden returned to play on one leg, it was Kevin Durant who shouldered most of the offensive burden. KD's legendary 49-point, 17-rebound, 10-assist performance in Game 5 gave the Nets a 3-2 lead, but in Game 7, despite Durant's 48 points, the Nets were eliminated in overtime, ending their title hopes. The 2021 playoff exit was devastating for the Nets and their fans. Injuries to Harden and Kyrie turned what could have been a championship run into a missed opportunity. In total, Durant averaged 34 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists in the playoffs, carrying the Nets on his back, but it still wasn't enough. Kyrie's off-court issues compounded the challenges. In 2021-2022, New York City's COVID-19 vaccine mandate prevented him from playing home games due to his refusal to get vaccinated. This led to further disruption within the team. Kyrie was only able to play in road games for the majority of the season, creating tension with both teammates and management. James Harden, frustrated with the ongoing drama and lack of continuity, forced his way out of Brooklyn mid-season in a trade that sent him to the Philadelphia 76ers. The 2022 season saw further disappointment. With Harden gone and Kyrie only available part-time due to his unvaccinated status, the Nets limped to the playoffs. They faced the Boston Celtics in the first round, but were swept, despite Durant averaging 26 points per game in the series. The season ended in bitter disappointment, with the team falling far short of expectations. We know what happened after that. KD departed for the Phoenix Suns and Kyrie for the Dallas Mavericks. This is the greatest NBA what-if of all time. James Harden, a player labeled as a quitter and selfish, giving up on the Rockets when they gave him everything he could have ever asked for. A former MVP looking for his first championship, to taste the champagne after winning an NBA Finals and expanding his legacy beyond scoring and the step-back jumper. A championship that would cement him in the upper echelon of NBA shooting guards. Kyrie Irving, despised by one of the winningest franchises in sports, shouldering the blame of ruining the chemistry of a championship-caliber roster. A player that the media portrayed as a team cancer and liar to many. A player hidden in the shadow of LeBron James despite such expansive contributions to the unforgettable 3-1 comeback in the NBA Finals. A player looking for his first championship without one of the greatest players ever alongside of him. And Kevin Durant, one of the greatest players of this generation, with a reputation plagued by quitting on the team that supported him through every twist and turn. A player who turned his back on the franchise he grew up with, and a villain that joined the team that beat him previously. A player looking for his first championship with himself as the centerpiece, one where he could say he led the team to the finish line. A player still plagued by his inability to lead without a superstar cast. All three of these players, fighting their inner demons and media narratives, looking to overcome it all, but failed to do so because of extreme circumstances and injuries. Players we see today as greats that could have been even greater, more legendary. Players who you have stories to tell your kids about. If circumstances stuck to the blueprint, a team that could have dominated the NBA and shook the league, making each franchise question what it would take to beat the Mount Rushmore of a super team roster that this was. The trials and tribulations of these players, the unforgettable injuries, the global pandemic that shifted the league a way we've never seen, inner turmoil and lackluster coaching, all culminates into a phrase that wrings many hearts the way no other scenario ever has to NBA fans. That phrase being, what if they would have won?